Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, just Daf It. Today's Daf is a special Daf, number 70, Daf Ayin. We'll be finishing the sixth parak today and we're starting the seventh parak today. Parak Amadir, one of the more famous prakim in Masachas Kesubos. We're talking about, parak starts about Amadir as Ishto. He precludes his wife from getting some sort of enjoyment from him. Not 100% clear from the Gemara what that enjoyment is. If you want to hear more in depth, stay tuned for Ian with Ben Sion coming up in the next year after this. If you're just one of those Daf Yomi nicks that just like Daf Yomi, you're hardcore Daf Yomi, but you're anti-Ian, you don't want to hear Ian, let me just tell you, I give you a great Ian share in 8 minutes. The 8-minute Ian share. So I recommend staying around for it, but if you just want a great Daf Yomi share, you're in the right place. We do it in like 25 minutes. As opposed to other shira might go 45 minutes on average. Save half the time. I mean, basic math, when you go to elementary school, they teach you math. They teach you, fractions. One half. One half is half of the whole, which is exactly 50% less. So that's pretty good. All right, let's get started. We're at 5 lines from the bottom of Samach Ted Amud Beis. That's where we left off. 2 dots. Ilpa Talanavshe Beskyaria. This is a famous story in Masachas Tainus. Rabbi Yochanan and Ilpa, they were both big Talmidei Chachamim who were lacking funding to feed their families. Both of them decided to go work. Rabbi Yochanan eventually heard some voice or something happened. He decided to go back to Yeshiva. He being a Rosh Yeshiva, Ilpa went to work. And he was very upset later on that he didn't have the granddaughter of being a Rosh Yeshiva. So to prove his worth, this is what the Gemara says, Ilpa Talanavshe Beskyaria de Makusa. He was so upset with himself, he went up to the mast of a sailboat and he tied himself there. If someone could quote me a brisa that was taught in the house of Rabbi Chia or Rabbi Shaya, and I'm not able to answer it in Masnisin to tell you what the source of it is in a Mishnah, I'll jump off the mast of the ship and I'll drown myself. Sounds like suicide. Apparently he was really sure himself and did get it right over here. Usaba the Tanale, an elderly man came. He quoted him a brisa, Omer Tun Shekel Lebni B'Shabbos. A man who was, wrote in his will. He said, give a shekel to my son for Shabbos. Now, if you live in Israel, a shekel is not worth that much money. So give him a shekel for Shabbos. Ruyin Litelahem Sela. Sela is 4 shekel, right? The person is obviously an 8-year-old kid. He only spends a sela 4 shekel. We know some sela. You give him a sela. Mamar I'll him a shekel. If he quantifies his word and he says only give him a shekel, he knows a shekel. You have to listen to him. Only a shekel. Mamar Imesu Yershu Achayim Tachtayim. If he includes in his will, he says, if these sons die that I pledge money to, other people should get inheritance from their nechasim, from their property. It doesn't matter what his lashon is. Einos than a shekel. In that case, we assume he only wants to give him a shekel. Amrlei. So Ilpa said back to him, Hamani, top of Ayam and Aleph, Rabbi Meiri. The author of this brisa is Rabbi Meiri from our Mishnah, Amar Mitzvah L'Kayim Devrei HaMeis, which you see in our Mishnah on Daf Samach Tet, where Rabbi Meir says that if the father gives money to the trustee, right, even though it belongs to his daughter, but he tells the trustee, don't let my daughter spend it in certain circumstances. You have to listen to him. That's Rabbi Meir's opinion. So that was the source in the Mishnah, our Mishnah. Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Rukva, Hilchasa, he quotes halacha on the following brisa: Ben Shamar Tnu, Ben Shamar Al Titnu. No matter what he says, no lehem kol tzarchim. You give him, sounds like not even just a seller. You give them whatever they need. So the Gemara says, "Akaim lan halacha Rabbi Meir." The halacha follows Rabbi Meir that the Amar the mitzvah l'kayim devrei hameis. You're supposed to listen to the words of a dead person. The Gemara says that's only when it comes to other things. When it comes to giving money to support his children, really he wants to give them what they want. The reason he only promised a shekel, he wanted them to become good in business, to become big entrepreneurs, become thrifty people, successful people. So really, really, he probably wanted to give them a shekel. However, we assume or omei daite that really, what he really wanted to do was to support them. He just says this because a backup plan. At least you should get a good education. You should earn your own money. Tan Hassam, it says Mishnah and Zakas Gittin Apudos Mekah on Mekach Omem Koran Meker. If they make business deals, it sticks. Or it says they have to be a certain age, 7 or 8 years old. Metaltalim by movable objects, by carcos, not necessarily real estate, not necessarily. I'm a Rafram. Rafram is Lo Shano Shein Sham Apotropos. It's only talking about where there was no guardian, legal guardian for these children. Aval Yisham Apotropos in Mekah on Mekach in Mem Koran Mekar. They have to be Gedolim. They have to be either 13 years old, maybe 18 years old, responsible age to make transactions themselves. Mimai, how do you know? Our Mishnah says that Shaktana, her words are invalid. She tells the trustee to give the money that the father earmarked for her to give her to her husband. We don't listen to her. The Gemara says, that's proof from our Mishnah to what we just said. The Gemara says, maybe our Mishnah is different because there's a difference between a trustee and a guardian. A legal guardian is, they're in charge in general over the matters of the child, of the orphans. However, a trustee, has a specific charge with this money. So there, he has to listen to the father. Over a general guardian, maybe, they could make small transaction by themselves. So the Gemara can listen. If it was because he's a shlish, a trustee, it should have said the shlish should do, like it said earlier in the Mishnah, what he was told to do. My ain masa ktana klum. This big statement over here that a ktana can't do anything. Shmamina afilu ba'alma. Even when there's a legal guardian, not just a trustee, a katan or ktana can't make any transactions. But if there's no legal guardian, then they have the right to make transactions when it comes to movable objects. Hadron alach mitzvah isha. That is the conclusion of the 6th parak. And now, the main event you've all been waiting for. We start the 7th parak. Amadir es ishto, lahanos lo shloshim yom yamid parnes. He forbids his wife from getting hana. We'll talk more about this in Sechas Nedarim. He takes a neder. She can't get benefit from him for the next 30 days. Yamid parnes. So the only way to keep their marriage afloat and not have to divorce her and give her a ksuba, he appoints a parnes. A parnes as a shliach, as an emissary, who literally, according to most opinions in the Gemara and the Art Scroll, means to feed, be in charge to feed her. He's not feeding her food, and one of the obligations of the Kesubos is to give her mazonos, to give her her nourishment, to give her what she needs, her sustenance. So he appoints somebody else, trustee. He appoints a shliach. He appoints someone else to be in charge to make sure she has what she needs. Apparently, the husband's not around. Yes, from Cain. If he makes the neder for longer than 30 days, he immediately has to give her a ksuba. Rabbi Huda Omer, Rabbi Yisrael Chodesh Echad Yikayim Shayim Yosi Yivitin Ksuba. He says 1 month is not enough of a neder. Only if he makes a neder for 2 months by Yisrael, Eish Yisrael, then you give a ksuba. But Kohen Shayim Yikayim Shalosh Yivitin Ksuba. By a Kohen, you wait 3 months. The neder has to be for 3 months because a Kohen, it's more severe. You don't want them to get divorced because if they later reconcile, they can't get remarried because a Kohen can marry a Grusha. He says a different type of neder, not that she can't get enough from him. You can't have one of the fruits in the world, any one of the fruits. You can't have strawberries, you can't have blueberries, you can't have kiwi. It's very painful for her, more painful than the first part of the Mishnah, hard to understand. Yossi v'tein ksuva. He makes a general neder, right? He has to give her a ksuba. He has to megarish her and give her a ksuba. Yehuda Omer Yisrael Yom Echad. Yehuda says no. Yisrael only makes a neder for 1 day. Yikayim Shayim Yosef Ksuba. If it's for 1 day, he can keep her. If it's a neder for 2 days, then he has to give her a ksuba and megarish her and divorce her. Kohen Shayim Yikayim Shalosh V'tein Ksuba. A Kohen would try more for reconciliation, so therefore he has 3 days. The neder has to be for 3 days in order to cause a gerushin and a ksuba. You think ksuba madir has isha shalotis kashi bechan mikol minim. He says, you can't use one of the perfumes that you like to use, or one of the accessories that you like to accessorize yourself with. Anything that she wants, even if it's for a perfume that she likes, Coco Chanel perfume, Mademoiselle, or Coco Chanel, Gabrielle. If you have a wife, you know what these things are. So So if he says with one of these things, or he says you can't use blush, you can't use mascara, or you can't have your Lululemon fanny pack, you can't accessorize like that. You can't have your Hermes, purse. Yotzi thinks, or Yotzi Omer Ba'aniyos Shelo Nasan Kitzvah. When there come to poor women who normally are not accustomed to accessories for their beauty, he has to make a neder forever. He has to say a neder in general. A rich woman who are more accustomed to having whatever they need to accessorize. So then you have to make a neder for 30 days. Once the neder is for 30 days already, then yotiv ksuba. The Gemara is going to explain. There's two opinions. Does it mean you have the ksuba right away once he makes a neder, or does it mean you wait 30 days and if he doesn't annul the neder, doesn't matter the neder, so then after 30 days you have to give the ksuba. So the Gemara immediately asks, Heichi Matzi Madrila. How could the first clause in our Mishnah, he's Madr Shisha for 30 days. He's Meshubad. It says he has to give Mazonos to his wife, Rabbanan, whatever she needs, right? More than just the basic Sheira. Right? On the rice level, he has to give Sheira. And the Rabbanan has to give Mazonos, whatever she needs. Heichi Matzi Madrila. Kol Kamined Mifkala Shibude. A neder is not chal when you're obligated to do something. Neder is only chal on voluntary things. If I have to give something, it's not chal. Now we have a mission to prove this. If the woman, she says, I'm not going to make food for you, doesn't have to be made for because she's meshubad to him. Now it doesn't necessarily mean making food. I would say she also picha is her peshal mata, penis as a peh also. She's meshubad. She has to provide whatever. That's it. He bought her for the ksuva. He bought all rights sexually that he can get anything that he wants from her. She has no right to make an editor. The mifkala the shibuda. Hachanami came in the meshubala. Lav kolkamina the mifkala the shibuda. Here also he's obligated to give her sheira or ona. Right? We're talking about all types of hana. It doesn't say what type of hana. Food is a type of hana. Sex is a type of hana. So he's meshubad. All those things. He's meshubad. Sheira, food, ona, to be together with her. And also, mizonos is something broadly, minarabana, which includes all types of hanos that she's guaranteed, anything that's going to make her feel good. So the Gemara says, technically, the mizonos, which is extra stuff, which makes her feel good, that she needs, right? Not just the base bare minimum, bread and water. He could technically get out of this, arrangement. Chazal arranged that he gives her mizona, she gives her ma'aseh daim, she gives him his wages. He can say, you take your wages and feed yourself. Nasa, when he makes the neder, even though he didn't explicitly say it, it's like he said that. So therefore, once he says that, or it's like he said that, so therefore he's no longer obligated to give her hana, to give her pleasure. And he could take the neder. But if it's true what Rav Huna Marav says, who's in control of this arrangement? The woman. She can say, right? She can opt out. She could say, I don't want to get nourished from you. I don't want to get pleasure from you, and I'll keep my wages. When in the Mishnah Nadarim says that she makes a neder that whatever I do, I make food for you, or things I need, your needs sexually, I don't provide for you. Why doesn't he have to be made for the neder? Why does he have to know the neder? Since she's in control, she can opt out. By taking the neder, it's like she's opting out, and the neder could be chal. Elo tema nasa. The Gemara says it's not nasa. Elo ba'omer la. Our Mishnah is talking about where he says, "See my where he does opt out, and then he takes a neder. If he already opts out, so why does he have to appoint a parnas to give her hana? He's not obligated to give her food anymore. The Gemara is below safka. They're talking about where her ma'aseh adayim, right? He says your ma'aseh adayim should provide enough for your mizonos. Whatever you earn money, your wages, take and feed yourself. In a case where she doesn't make enough money, she doesn't have enough mizonos for herself, then apparently the husband would be obligated still, part of Tikkun Chazal, to give her what she needs. If it's not enough, right, so then he's obligated to feed her, so how can the neder be chal? The question goes back to its origin. No, for the main things that she needs, right, the main basic needs that she needs, she has enough from her wages. But dvarim tanim, the minor luxuries that we'll see she's accustomed to it, that she wants, right? She doesn't have enough, so that's why he gives her parnes for that. And then there's chal because we'll see. Then there's chal because he doesn't have to give it to her technically. How dvarim tanim hechidam? What are these small luxuries? Either akila b'hu, if she was accustomed to these things, haragila b'hu, she needs them. It's a necessity, right? So the neder's not chal. He's obligated to give it. Real low regila b'hu. If she's not accustomed, then parnis lamala, right? She's not obligated to give it. Why does he have to provide through a steward, a parnis, to give it to her? Let's check out the regila b'beis nasha. Really, when she was growing up in her father's house, she got these minor luxuries. When she got married, she said, "I don't need them." I said, "I'll relent on these needs." Now, this is technically a problem because the Gemara says, "Oli mo," meaning if either he was accustomed to it or she was accustomed to growing up, she has to get it. So how could she forego on these things? That's a problem over here. You could say that the halacha of ole moed eretzimo means that if she's not mochel, if she's mochel, she give mochel. It's hard to say that because by tzedakah we say you give the person what they need because they need that. And the Gemara brought a case where someone was accustomed to eating fatty meat and vintage wine, and then he didn't give it to him. He said, "I only have lentils to give you," and the guy died. So that's a need, a basic need. So the Gemara is a little hard to understand. Based on this difficulty, I'm going to explain it a little differently. And he has Ben Sion. So she says, the simple explanation will say that she's mochel. She says, while I'm with you, while I'm married to you and you're with me, and you didn't take a neder, right? So I'm foregoing these small pleasures. Hashda da'darta, now you take a neder, right? And you're staying away from me. I need those small luxuries. Why 30 days? Really, she cared. She doesn't really need the luxuries. She's embarrassed, right? She's embarrassed. 30 days, people hear about it, and she's embarrassed that she doesn't get the luxury. She needs the luxury more about peer pressure, that people should know that she's getting what she needs. 30 days or more than 30 days, then she's embarrassed because of it and she has to get divorced. An alternative answer to explain our mission. He took the neder when she's in Arusa, right? Arusa Mislam Mazoni. So the Gemara suggests, why does he have to give a parnes to her? He's not entitled to feed his wife as an Arusa. Mazonis is only kicked in when she's married. She gives Mamalonisu. Like our Mishnah stated on Daf Nun Zion, they set a time for 12 months, and the man got cold feet. He wouldn't follow through on the marriage. It's not. He's obligated to feed her at that point of 12 months, the wedding date, and she even gets to eat truma. Why until 30 days? Until 30 days, a shliach, the parnes, will do his shlichus. He'll give her the food she needs. More than 30 days, people, even though they're emissaries, they're getting paid to do this, they're going to forget their shlichus. A third answer, he took the neder when she was Arusa, and then she got married. So the fact that she got married under these conditions shows she forwent. Is that a word? She was foregoing the mizonos. The whereas in these cases, hasavra of a kibla, right? Why does he have to provide a parnes for her? Someone she accepted. She got married to him under these conditions. She was mochelet. She is foregoing her mizonos. She said, when I got married, I thought I could live without the basic nourishment that I would need. Now I realize I can't do it. We say this time as validity, movement, right? Man has blemishes on him. He has cuts. He has bruises. He has scars. He's missing an arm. She thought once they were engaged, he was a nice guy. The fact he doesn't have an arm, wouldn't bother him. So therefore, she could say afterwards, I didn't realize now being together with you physically, I can't deal with you not having an arm. Then you mizone, mi amrina. When it comes to mizonos, mi amrina. By mizonos, she can't retract what she said originally, right? Presumably, if she felt that she can go without it, that's binding. So we prefer, the Gemara says, the first two answers of the Gemara, either it's Arusa, or the Gemara says where she's maspeket, like Dvarim Dolim and Al Dvarim Tanim. We're going to explain this first answer, which is the main answer in the Gemara, in Iyot Ben Sion, a little further. Ad Shloshim Yom, and the basic question is, why do you need a parnes? Why do you need a steward over here? There's plenty of apps on your phone that could, during 30 days, just deposit money into our bank account. They should have what to buy. the Parnis over here in charge of the pantry over here with food. I don't know. Maybe he has a lot of Oreos in his pantry. She wants the Oreos. I know you could order Oreos on Amazon, I think. So when his Shloshim Yom Amid Parnis, 30 days, you appoint a steward. A Parnis Lav Shlichusei Kop. And how does it help if she can't get hana from you? You took a neder, she can't benefit, she can't get pleasure from you. He's doing your shlichus. He's acting as your emissary. So she's directly benefiting from you. But a shlichus is like you did it. The Mar says kavid. Amar Rav Huna, Omer calls on mafsid. He doesn't directly appoint a steward. He says anyone who nourishes or gives pleasure to my wife, Eino Mafsid won't lose out. So he says it in an indirect way, so therefore the shliach is acting on his own accord. If he says it like this, he's still not a shliach. He's in a pit, and down. He wants his wife to get a divorce. He's always going to die from the Chasham and the Akrovim that Yosef was privy to. He's probably going to die, and he says, "Kol shomei kol yichta." Anyone who hears my voice, yichtov gal ishto. He says in a general way, it's like he was made him a shliach, right? The get has to come from the husband. So that's a shliach. So even if he says it in an indirect way, he's still a shliach. He says yizon. He doesn't say should nourish or kol hazan kamer. It's a little different than saying yizon. He's saying anyone who does it, it's in a very general way. So therefore, it's not directly a shliach from him. But Rabbi Yami said b'tleik heitiru. In Mesechus Shabbos, when there's a fire burning, ravaging your house, he can say anyone in a general way, anyone who extinguishes the fire doesn't lose out. I mean, basically, I'll give compensation to them after Shabbos. The Gemara says it only says a delay of fire to exclude to say any other case, special heter by Shabbos that he's not considered your shliach, but otherwise he's considered your shliach. The Gemara says lemutei shari from the Shabbos. No, even though there's a they allowed this by a fire on Shabbos, by other Yisrom on Shabbos. It's called Ma'aseh Shabbos. Someone acts on your behalf that's also to benefit from it, even if he's not your shliach. However, in general, he's not considered your shliach. Meisiv Rabba asked the following question: He asks his friend from getting hana from him, and he realizes his friend is destitute. He has no food. He has nothing to eat. He has nothing to eat, and he regrets his neder, but he can't be matir. He doesn't want to be matir. He goes to the makola, to the store owner that he's familiar with. He says, this guy, Joe Schmo, he can't get enough from me. But I don't know. I want to help the guy out. So who knows in lo? The storekeeper gives to him for free. This person who's destitute. And he collects the money from this guy who took the nether. That situation, that arrangement is mutter, right? Where he says to the guy, he doesn't say, right? He just says he doesn't tell him to give it. He doesn't say any. There's no words that directly say give it to this guy. He's just telling him there's a mudar hana, and the guy infers from himself that I should give to the guy. If he mentions even in a general way that he wants the guy to give it as a shliach, versus let me buy kamar. No, the other case the chenvi is more of a chiddush. Let me buy calls on mafsid la'alma kamar. He's saying in general to everybody. So therefore, of course, he's not a shliach. A high came on the regular. So since he's a custom, this is the guy he does business with, the convenience store. He always goes to him. I always go to Makol because of Kamar le Commander Amar Zil Havle, and he's saying to him, this guy, he's Mudar Hanav. It's like he's friendly, they're friendly with each other. It's like he actually said directly to him, not in a general way, directly to him, go give food to the guy. So therefore you might thought it's Asr, Zil Havle Adami Kamash Milan. Over there, we allow it also. Both cases would be Mutar. The says Guva. Hamudar Anami Chavero Be'inlam Yochal Holechitz Al Chenvi. He gives to him, and he collects the money from this guy who's madri, the other person, who took the neder on the other person. Let's talk about food. Let's say the person that he was mudar hana, he told him he can't get enough from him, he has to build his house. He has to build a fence, or he has to harvest his field. Right? He has nothing to pay with it. He has no money to pay these fees for the contractor or the farmers to harvest his field, and he wants to give him. He regrets partially, at least, taking a nether. This guy shouldn't benefit from him. He wants to pay for it. He goes to workers he's familiar with. I don't know what to do for him. So the same arrangement with the chenveni, with the store owner, the grocery store. these workers do the job for the guy, and they get paid from the guy who took the neder. As he's going with this guy, for some reason he took a neder that this guy shouldn't benefit from him. He realized the guy has nothing to eat or drink. He's going to die in the desert. No sin la'achar la'achar l'shum matana. If there's a third person, he gives a matana, a present to a third person. The third person, and this mudar hana, the person who can't get it, takes from the third person. Umutter, and it's mutter. There's only them two walking by themselves. He places on a rock, all gabi ageder on top of a fence. He says they're hefker. The hefker doesn't belong to him. And you can even do that, even though obviously the reason is that you're doing this to give to the other guy. Still, it's mutter because technically it doesn't belong to you, so he's not benefiting from you, even though it looks like harama, or it looks like you're making a trick. Riosi Omer. Riosi Aoser. Riosi said he can't do this. I'm a Rava. My time with the Riosi. That's the reason Riosi doesn't allow this. Zera Mishum, Maise, on top of Ayin Aleph and Aleph, Maise the Beis Choron. This is an incident which happened in the Gemara in Adorim, on Daf Mem Ches, where it talks about someone who answered his father. People get quite contentious. They don't have good relationships with people in their family. He said, my father should never get enough from me. But you know when everyone regrets this, when they have family simcha. So he's marrying off his son. Who does he want to be there? It looks bad if your father's not invited to his own grandson's wedding. So he said to the person, I'm giving you a courtyard. He rented out a wedding hall. With the Tanai, he said that my father should get hana. I'm giving this to you. I'm making it hefker, right? Because if it belonged to him, the wedding hall, or the courtyard where they were getting married during COVID, in the courtyard, in the backyard. So if it belonged to him, the grandfather couldn't come. So he says, I'm giving it to you as a present, because my father's mudar anas. So the Gemara says, and then the guy who took it just made it hektish because it says his hefker, it's mine. He made it hektish. Where is the hektish is not chal? It doesn't work because he explicitly said that I'm doing it so my father could benefit. He didn't really mean to give it to him as a matana. So it wasn't really hefker in that case. Because he said those words. Here it really is hefker, but Gzera de Rabbanan harama, it looks like that. So therefore, Rabbi Yossi says you can't do it over here. The Ma'aseh Beis Choron, that's Doraisa, right? It didn't work to be makdish the field because he made a t'nai, he made a stipulation that he didn't really want to be mafkir it. Here, even though he really is mafkir on a Doraisa level, Gzera de Rabbanan, one way of explaining, or maybe even on the Doraisa level, Rabbi Yossi argues that he didn't really make it hefker over here because he didn't have it in mind. The Gemara in Adorim actually talks about this, whether it's the Raisa or Rabbanan. Either way, Rabbi Yossi answers in that case. We don't pass on Rabbi Yossi. We pass, and then you could make it hefker like this, and the person could benefit from the food. That's the conclusion of today's shir. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for a fascinating Enoch Ben Sion. We talk about exactly what is the nature of Madar as Ishto. What are we talking about? And why is he being maimed a parnas? Everything is automation these days. You can use a robot for basically anything with artificial intelligence. Parnes, why is it a robot? What is this parnes? The nature of the parnes coming up next.